Hello and welcome back to my channel, where today I want to do some more word sprinting because I'm trying to, get some writing done. And I'm kind of in a writing slump, honestly. I have not written in a pretty decently long time, like a week I think now. And even before, I was working on character sheets and stuff. I was working on, I can actually, I was working on these small little character building sheets. I got through like 8 of them, and there's still like a whole stack of them here left. There's 20 of them, so there's 12 more. So I've made it like 2/5 of the way, I think would be the statistic on that. But I have kind of learned a little bit more about the characters, and I think on the back of the sheet I'm gonna write more information because there's so much space here. On the front, it's just like little questions about the character, just little ones, nothing crazy. I think I'll probably work on those. Maybe in a different vlog I'll work on some more character building. But today I want to do a challenge I've been thinking about for a while, which is doing word sprinting but adding a minute every sprint. So starting at 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute. We'll see how far I get. I'd like to get up to maybe like 20 minutes, but the amount of minutes that are needed to get there, because you're adding a minute, so 1 and 2 is 3, and then 3 minutes adds 6 altogether. So, I think the goal for that is going to be to write as much as the manuscript, or as much as I can of the manuscript I already have here, because I have like, I think it's something like 10 to 12,000 words or something like that, and then that's the end of this, and then I can, continue working on what I have in Dabble already. And then I also want to see how many words I can write in a set amount of minutes, so that I'm, seeing how long I need to be writing to meet my writing goals, if that makes sense. And then I want to spend some time, in my mind thinking about, my characters, working with them and the settings they'll be in, because it feels like I just kind of throw them in there and it's not really like the setting is important or anything. So I want to put myself in my character's shoes to like think of how they would solve problems, maybe like individually if they're in their own like section, or as a group if they're working with other people. Like, how would this character think about this as opposed to this character, or how would they go about doing said thing? And then the last thing I want to work on is thinking more critically about how the setting is important to the story and how I can like better describe them while still moving the story forward and making it an important part of the story. Not just, oh, they're in this place because they need to be in a different place, or, I just kind of put them here to do this thing. There needs to be like a reason that they're in that setting, and I want the description to help drive the story forward in a way. Because I'm a very dialogue heavy person, I've noticed. I really like writing dialogue. I think it's great. I love it when characters are talking to each other, but I think the setting should almost speak for itself in a way too. So those are the 5 things I want to work on while I'm doing these sprints. And then, like I said, it's going to start at 1 minute and then go to 2, 3, 4, all the way up to, I'm hoping 20, but we'll see how far I get. Currently it's 12 o'clock, so it's a perfect time to see how long it's going to take me to, do all these sprints and see, just how the writing goes, honestly, because I've been wanting to get back into the story, but I felt like kind of like writer's block, I guess, because it's kind of not having the motivation and not having like the drive, I guess, to write more of my story since November. So, we're in the middle of October. We're in the middle of December now. It's the 16th. So, now is as good a time as any to get back into this story and try to finish what I have here so I can continue on with the other sections I haven't even written yet, and get back into the other notebook and start writing outlines for these things. So this is step one in trying to continue on with the story and hopefully finish it. But I am going to start the sprints and then we'll talk about them. So I'm gonna do. It sounds ridiculous. I'm gonna do the 1 minute sprint now, and then, maybe I'll come back after that one or after a few of them, so I can kind of, share my thoughts on how the writing is going. But I'm gonna get started, and I will see you guys in a little bit. So after this first set of 1 to 5 minute sprints, I wrote for 15 minutes altogether. So I wrote 658 words in that time. And I think that's a pretty good amount for that, that set period there. I stayed in the same section the whole time with Xander and Elijah talking about the burned house. But I think I wrote some pretty, decent words. And I spent some good time with these two characters trying to understand them better and how they would interact with each other. Because at this point, they're both kind of keeping information from each other, but for different reasons. And I think in a way, it can be shown a little bit better than I did before in the first time I wrote this whole thing. So I'll probably spend a little bit more time in this section. And then, move on, obviously, because I have plenty more sprints to do. But I did add one more goal that I want to work on for this challenge, which is to figure out how to sprinkle clues about the burn house and, what actually happened there in various parts of the story to help Xander and Selene find the truth, because they have to help the ghost find peace so that Selene won't die. Or that won't have these flashbacks, hallucinations, whatever you want to call them, forever. So I need to try to sprinkle more clues about that in the story, but I think I'm going to start the next set of sprints here, which are going to be longer. Those ones are going to be 6 to 10, and I'm going to work on those, and then we'll see where I'm at after that. Okay, so I finished the next 5 sprints, and I wrote for 45 minutes, and I wrote 1,660 words, which, depending on a 45-minute period, that's a pretty good amount to write. I did finish the one section with Xander, and then I started the next one with Selene, and I made a lot of notes about things that aren't in the original manuscript that I've been adding to the new one that I'm writing. That need to be throughout the story when I finish the story entirely. And the characters are interacting in a way that I'm not really loving too much, and I do wish the dialogue flowed a little bit better. And I feel like people should have more to talk about and whatnot. And I also do want to rework the settings and make them more important to the story. And then I changed my goals for this challenge part at the top to goals for this challenge, things I need to be thinking about, and notes for the story in general. And I added a lot in these last 5 writing sprints, because the last thing I was talking about was sprinkling clues about the burned house throughout the story so they can find out the truth. But then I added, I think 6 more things. So I need to be thinking about how Elijah is feeling about the burned house being brought up, how Xander's parents died and stuff like that, and why he wouldn't want to share what he knows about Xander's parents' deaths and how they were connected to the burned house, because there is a reason that Elijah isn't sharing the information, but it's not a reason that you would think, and I just need to formulate that into words so I can better decide how these conversations with these characters are gonna go. And then the next thing I need to think about as I was going into Selene's section is is what is she gonna, like, what lies is she gonna tell everyone about where she's been and what she's been doing, and keeping a list of what she's telling them, because I need her to keep up with those, little lies that she's telling, because they do end up getting bigger and, like, snowballing a little bit. And I don't want her to end up, like, slipping up accidentally, and then the story just doesn't make sense because I forgot that she told this person this, but she told this other person this. So, I gotta figure out how to keep that working in the story, and then I kind of already mentioned this, but I need to figure out how to make conversations flow more seamlessly and have people talk for longer than they do currently. It doesn't feel like... It feels like they talk for like 10 seconds, or, their conversations aren't organic, I guess. They feel very like... I mean, they are scripted because I wrote it, but like, I want it to sound more like a normal conversation. And then Celine's friend brought up prom in this last little bit that I wrote, and so I need Celine to be thinking like a lot about how she's going to ask Xander to prom, but ultimately, obviously, she dies before she gets to do that, which makes the story even more sad, because sad endings, yay. But it is a cliffhanger to bring you into the next book, so I think it'll work out fine. And then this one isn't really so much for this sprinting right now, but it's for me to be thinking about after this, I guess, is that I need to make a wall of sticky notes that shows what's going on in each section, and if any of them that have already been written need to be moved or broken up into more sections because they're too long. Like this one I'm writing right now is like almost 3,000 words originally, and I always add more words when I rewrite, so I think it's going to be over 3,000 words. So I need to figure out how I'm going to break that up, or how I'm going to make sections work together better. And then the last thing I've written so far, the 12th point on this very long list, is Celine got attacked by Damien, I think twice now in this story, and that needs to show in the way that she, like, talks to him, or, like, refuses to talk to him sometimes, because she really wants nothing to do with him and has no idea why he's so into her after all the times she's turned him down, and, he's attacked her and stuff, and she's just really confused about it. So every time he, bothers her or something, she needs to have more, I don't know, repulsiveness at him, I guess, maybe that's the word? I don't know. But those are the notes that I've added since the last, the first 5 sprints and into the second one. So, and these next 5 sprints, they're going to take a lot longer because I have this little chart here that I'm keeping track of everything on. So the first 5 sprints was 15 minutes altogether. The second 5 were 45, and the next 5, they're going to be over an hour. So I'm going to be here for a while writing and working on this and seeing how many words I can get written, because I like words, I guess. So I'm going to work on that, and then I'm sure I'll have plenty more notes to share and stuff, but the writing is going pretty well. I'm happy about how many words I've written so far. Altogether, with the first 10 sprints, I've written 2,318 words, which, that's amazing. I think by the end of this, I might get up to like 5,000 words. Who knows? But, this is going really well. I'm having a great time. It's just nice to have a clock and then just write for that amount of time and then see how much I wrote. So I'm going to get back to writing. Hopefully in these next 5 sprints, I can finish this really long section with Celine and then maybe start another one. I honestly have no idea because of how many words I'm writing each time, but we'll see. I will get to writing and see you guys in a little while. Alright, so in these third set of sprints, I did from 11 minutes to 15 minutes, and I wrote for 65 minutes, just about, and I wrote 507 words. Writing for over an hour at that point and getting that high of a word count is actually just amazing to me, because usually I'm, kind of fighting to get to even like 1,000 words. So I'm pretty happy about that. I also had a lot of time I had a lot to think about for each character and what kinds of things they do and don't know and why they do or don't know those things. The flashbacks that Xander and Celine have, they need to have some kind of like timeline of when they're actually happening. But I also want to have some of them like overlap or happen around the same time, so we can see more of the flashback story that's so important to the present story. Because in Xander's flashbacks, we're following his parents' involvement with the Akays in general. And then in Celine's flashbacks, we're following what happened to Viola after the house fire and the time that she spent in the mental asylum. So those need to connect in a way so we can figure out what happened and help the ghost find peace, obviously. And then, as I have been with every set of sprints, I did add more notes to the notes section, which this one, since they were at the library and talking to Bex a little bit and she was like helping them with things, I need to think about what Bex's motives are for helping Xander and Celine and what her own goals are for the novel, because she does have her own thing that she wants to get done by the end of the novel. So I need to be thinking about that as I write. And then they talk to Miss Hargreaves for a little bit, and she's friends with Damien, so she might bring him up every now and then, talking about how one of Celine's friends from school has been coming to the library a lot and reading about things in the restricted section, and she's not really too sure what that's all about. Like, maybe he picked a different project than they did or something. So that's something to think about. And then the other thing is that Bex is a witch, so she can tell that Celine is half human, half vampire, so she knows that if she dies, she'll come back as a vampire, so she's not, like, completely dead forever. But she does, still want to try to save her from that, and will do everything she can to keep her from dying from the Beelzebubs, because she'll come back as a vampire and have eternal life, which, more of a curse, really. And then, like I was talking about a minute ago, I need to make a timeline of all the flashbacks Xander and Celine have and how they're connected. Celine's need to happen in order for her line, and then Xander's need to happen in order for his line, but they do need to overlap and make more sense of what happened in the 1800s that's so important now that they figure out. That's about as far as I got. I wrote so many words. So many words. And so far I've written, let's see, where did I write it down? I've written almost 5,000 words so far. So I think in these next 5 sprints, which are going to be about 90 minutes, just about, I think I'm definitely obviously going to pass 5,000, but I don't know if I'm going to get any further than that, because this will be an hour and a half, so maybe I'll get closer to like 10,000, maybe? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, because here we have almost 2 hours, so maybe I'll get to 10,000 in these next 5. I don't know. If not, maybe I'll get to like 8,000 or 9,000. If I get close, I might keep going. I don't know. But it's going well. Getting so much writing done. I'm going to start the next set of sprints, and hopefully I can get through these today and finish them, because man, oh man, these are going really well, but they do take quite a long time to get through. And I wanted to do between 1 and 60. I'm glad I didn't, because between 1 and 20 is already so much. So I'm going to get back to writing, make more notes on what's going on and stuff, and we'll see where I end up here at the end. Okay, so I've actually just finished the last 5 sprints to this 1 to 20 minute sprints, just adding a minute every time. So in this fourth set of 5 sprints, I wrote for 90 minutes and I wrote 3,017 words. So writing for an hour and a half and getting that many words is actually kind of amazing to me, because I don't think I would have written that many words if I just wrote for an hour and a half in general. So in this set of sprints, I worked through the flashback that Xander has that reveals more about his past, because his memories were rewritten by his Uncle Elijah after his parents died, because he just couldn't cope with his parents being dead, I guess. And then Xander and Selene, they go to talk to the ghost, Lamia, about, like, trying to find out more information about what really did happen in the burn house, so they can get more of an idea of how to help her find peace, because that's their goal. And that's how they're going to save Selene from the Beelzebubs before they kill her, because she's a human, so they will eventually kill her. And then in the last couple of sprints, we got to see Xander and Selene. They went to Jason's pond, and Bex was telling them about how the Beelzebubs will kill Selene if they don't work fast enough, which they thought they had more time, and now they don't. So they're kind of dealing with that. And then when they're about to give up looking for Viola, which is a person that they need to help them with the mystery of what's going on in the burn house, I guess, with Lamia, she appears out of the pond and, like, starts talking to them for a minute. But after that, she's going to attack them, so that's going to be interesting to write in a little bit. But overall, I think that set of sprints was great. It was fantastic. Loved it. Obviously, the most I wrote because I was writing for the most amount of time. So to wrap this whole video up a little bit, because it's going to be a long one. To wrap this up, in all 20 sprints, like if you added the numbers 1 to 20 together, you get 210, which is about 3.5 hours. So writing for that period of time, I wrote 7,842 words, which I can't believe I wrote almost 8,000 words. It would have been really cool if I made it to 10,000, but, you know, I also wanted to work a lot on getting to know my characters and getting to know the settings they're in and working with them on that and stuff. So some sprints I wrote less words than I should have and stuff like that, but still, writing almost 8,000 words is amazing. And I like the way I did it too, and I might do more sprints like this, because all I did was, so you start with 1 minute, you write for a minute, that's however many words you get, and then you add a minute, so then the next one you write for 2 minutes, and, you know, all the way up until I'm writing for 20 minutes, and, you know, when you're just adding 1 more minute, you're like, well, surely I can just write for 1 more minute this time, like, that's not going to be a problem at all. And I got so much writing done in Project Red 1. I only have 2 more sections in the manuscript to finish, and then I can start working on sections that have not been written yet, and hopefully finish this dang story, because it has been taking me such a long time. But it makes me feel a lot more accomplished too, writing almost 8,000 words in this story and making it over 100,000 words, which I think that was the goal, was to get over 100,000. I think I'm at like 101. Yeah, 101,459. So, you know, after spending so much time away from the story and then getting to really just kind of dive right back into it, it was nice to see the progress I've made in the story with this challenge. I might try it again sometime, because that was absolutely amazing. I loved it, and 3.5 hours of writing could be done in 1 day, so I could potentially finish this in another day, like, do the whole thing. And then I also had a lot of, you know, goals for this challenge, things to be thinking about, or notes about the story. So I'll have to write those down somewhere, but just, you know, questions I've brought up for myself as I go and stuff like that. But I think overall this challenge was great. I loved it. I had a lot of fun with it. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments and what other kind of challenges you'd like to see me do. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.